We're here at the BE 100th anniversary celebration where our honorary guests are joining us this evening, like the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Thank you for being here.
Let me say I'm delighted to be here tonight again. Tonight our hearts are saddened, and yet we rejoice at the life and legacy of Barbara Graves, a woman of keen intelligence, integrity, and insight, whose courage and strength helped to make the Graves family legacy and tradition. And now there's a generation of young African Americans who have a view of life beyond the assembly line because of the features of Black enterprise and the genius of Barbara and Earl. In many ways, I look at entrepreneurs being honored tonight. It's like consumption leads to fatness, production leads to freedom. It's about production, manufacturing, creativity, ingenuity. We didn't know how good baseball could be until everybody could play. You didn't realize how good business could be until everybody could participate. You take a given car, it's like 13,000 parts. Every part is an industry. You look at the African Americans here creating everything from the car, designing cars, not just assembly line, designing cars and parts of cars and locks and windshields and paints and colors. It's just beautiful to see us growing, and I think this is the fourth stage of our struggle. I contend that the first stage was to end slavery. The second stage was to end legal Jim Crow. The third stage was to secure the right to vote. Beyond that, access to capital, industry, technology, deal for. This is that stage of our struggle, and so no one has done more to get us here than Earl Graves and Barbara, and so we thank them and the Black enterprise family.
Well, let me ask you on a personal note, what has Black enterprise meant to you in your career?
Well, it gives us feedback. It gives information. If you look out look in the mirror and you see something ugly, it may not be you ugly. The dishwater is dirty. It may be a reflection of dirty water. But Black enterprise allows us to see ourselves in all of our beauty and splendor, development, creativity. So you get information, inspiration, and direction. And they've used their credibility to convene the global family of businesses. And so whether it's Dell or whether it's GM, high tech, or medical services, this is the central place for business development among Africans throughout the world.
Well, we're glad you're here to celebrate this great moment for Black history at the 40th anniversary of the BE 100.
Well, I was there kind of at the beginning on some of those early covers of Black Enterprise with Charles Evans, Julian Vaughn. I was there, and so it's good to be home.
All right. Well, let me ask you also, you have a big conference coming up. Tell us about your conference.
July 10th through 14th, the Rainbow Push Conference, that a lot of focus at first day on the growing poverty, where people cannot make ends meet, where they are malnourished and increasingly desperate. There's not a major session on alternative banking, because so many people can't get banked because of low credit score. They've lost their homes, and so they're going to the payday lender, which must now have some regulations so as not to be exploitative. Focus at Wednesday will be on South Africa 100 years later, now that they are free. And then ministers focus on churches and homes and foreclosure. And a major bank president will be here because the banks must negotiate principal, not just interest down. And then another major session on the Black and Brown plenary session. We must learn to live together. The 100 largest cities are majority Black and Brown. We've got to learn to live together. I want young Blacks to learn to speak Spanish, and young Latinos to learn to speak English. After all, there are more Africans south of the border than north of the border. So we were African Mexicans and African Peruvians and African Brazilians, and so we've got to learn to speak to two-thirds of our hemisphere is Spanish speaking. And let me say lastly, there'll be a big focus on the medical dimensions. Health disparity is so great, and violence. It just had the NATO conference in Chicago this past week. We've lost 1,700 soldiers in Iraq in 10 years, 5,300 in Chicago alone, 55,000 in 20 major cities. We've got to stop the violence. We choose nonviolence not because we're scared, but because we're smart, because we're wise. And so July 10 through 14, the Rainbow Push Conference here in Chicago.
Okay, well, hopefully people will show up and show out and make it happen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And we'll have more from the Black Enterprise BE 100's anniversary dinner coming up, so stay right there at blackenterprise.com.